Yep,
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay,
loud and clear.
okay, thanks.
So welcome to the April 10th Sloan's Lake Citizens Group meeting. We're meeting at the Merit Co-work and on Zoom. Our first order of business is usually the CRO, Community Resource Officer from District 1. Our sector would give the report, but she's out of town on a training session. So,
Amanda's here. Amanda Grodman is online.
oh, then.
Yes, I am here online. Hello.
Hey, take over for Kaylin, please.
Sounds good. Thank you, Tom. Hi, everybody. I'm technician Amanda Grodman. I'm one of your CROs, community resource officers for DPD District 1. Kaylin is in training this week, so we're very excited for her, but so I'll just be filling in for her this evening. So let's look at Sloan's Lake stats. So overall, in crimes against property, we did see a decrease this month. So burglaries were down 3 to 2. Theft was down 6 down to 1. Theft from motor vehicle had a major drop from 12 to 3. So great job keeping your stuff locked up. Keep your cars locked. Don't leave anything in your cars for thieves to try to steal. And then motor vehicle theft was down as well from 6 to 2. The only one we saw an increase was to damaged property. I'm actually not sure what the driver was there, if we're seeing more graffiti or what's causing that increase. If it is graffiti, if you guys see graffiti around town, around the city, please report it. Let us know. You can report it through 311. And then that way we can try to get it cleaned up as quickly as possible. And that way it doesn't encourage more graffiti, because a lot of the times when we get one tag, then more people tag and tag it. So the faster we can get graffiti addressed, the faster we can, get rid of it and hopefully not encourage any more of that behavior. So that's a good sign, guys. We're seeing a good drop in crimes against property there for Sloan's Lake. In the summer, we do tend to see an increase as the weather kind of warms up. So just be vigilant, and kind of keep an eye out as the weather gets warmer. We usually tend to see a little bit of an increase in property crimes, but this month Sloan's Lake is looking good. We can go to West Colfax. Let's see. Okay, so West Colfax, that one's a little more all over the place. We're kind of seeing some stuff kind of going up and down all over the place there. So burglaries were up pretty significantly from 5 to 10. What we're seeing there is the garages, the detached garages are being burglarized at a pretty good rate right now. So please keep your detached garages. I know a lot of people in the West Colfax neighborhood have that. Try to keep those locked. We're also seeing storage rooms at apartment complexes. So like bikes from the bike room at the apartments are getting broken into. So just do your best to secure your property. If you do have a detached garage or even an attached garage, please make sure you're locking it up. Lock your back gate so that way we can kind of try to nip that in the bud a little bit. What else did we have? Let's see. Theft did go up from 16 to 21. That one, the major driver is package thefts. So if you have the ability, try to send your packages to like an Amazon locker, or let your neighbor know if you're not going to be home while your package is being delivered. Just let them know so they can grab it for you. And that way, a thief doesn't come by and grab it. Motor vehicle theft was also slightly up from 16 to 20. We do have steering wheel clubs back in stock at the station. So please come over to District 1 and grab a steering wheel club. This weekend, we are partnering with Hyundai to do an event at Empower Field. So if you own a Hyundai, I don't know how it's pronounced. If you own one of those cars, guys, come out to Empower Field for free. They are going to be installing the anti-theft software, and we're giving out steering wheel clubs at that event as well. So a good opportunity to stop by And then theft for motor vehicles was down, so 20 down to 15. Again, just make sure you're locking your cars, put all of your belongings, out of sight, or just bring them in the house with you. Don't leave anything in your cars for people to steal. But that's kind of what we're seeing in the West Colfax neighborhood. What questions do you guys have for me?
Well, Amanda, this is Tom Brunn, and I was looking on Nextdoor about a week and a half ago, and some person was quite upset because they'd left their car running to warm it up and their car was stolen. And
Oh,
obviously they don't listen to anything at District 1 about doing puffers.
yes, please. I know it's warming up, but there are still cold mornings. Please don't leave your cars running, guys. They will come by and steal them just like that. As fast as you can blink, they have taken your car. So, yes, that's always a good reminder, Tom. Please don't leave your cars running in the morning. Those suckers get stolen just immediately.
But the tone of text that she was writing, she was just so surprised that maybe she moved here from some small town or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Like, oh no, not in Denver. Don't do that in Denver, guys.
I think any big city, really.
Yes, totally. Absolutely. Well, cool. If we don't have any questions, I'll just remind everybody, we do have our Citizens Advisory Group meeting coming up next Wednesday, the 17th. So please join us at District 1 Station. It's at 6 p.m. You can join us in person or online. If you're not on my email list, you can reach out and I'll get you on the email list and send you the reminder, and that'll have the Microsoft Teams link. But next week, Wednesday at 6 p.m., we'll do our next Citizens Advisory Group meeting.
All right. Well, thank you very much for filling in for us. I was not expecting that, so that's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Okay, the next is Alessandra Dominguez, who is council aide for Amanda Sandoval, Denver City Council District 1. You're on.
Hey, thanks. Let's check.
No, not yet.
Okay. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you, Deb.
I betcha.
Not yet.
No?
Oh, no, it's fine. She's got it. We are good.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
All right. So we got Sloan's Lake Citizens Group, community office hours. We already had one set on the 5th. Our next set is coming up on April 19th. I think there's a delay. There it is. Okay. Next set is April 19th, 11 to 1. I checked yesterday and we have 2 slots available. If you are
So
not
that's this Friday.
this Friday. No, next Friday.
Next Friday.
Next Friday.
Next Friday.
Yes. Next Friday, 11 to 1, we have 2 slots available. If you're not able to make those, we do have some virtual office hours Friday, May 24th, 11 to 1. Those are not available to sign up for yet. They get published the 1st of May. Introducing Sunny. So City and County of Denver has launched a new chat bot named Sunny.
I'm hearing to.
Yeah, I know.
Is that yours? Oh.
Yeah, maybe I'm
Sorry.
Maybe I'm just-
You're fine.
You can just lower the volume too, all the way down.
So new chatbot named Sunny. It is 311, but you can text to it. So all you have to do is text hello to hey 311. And that's available 24/7. So now you can call 311, you can go online to 311, you can text 311. All of those are options for you. Just know that the phone has limited hours. Online form is whenever you want, and then you can text it on the go no matter how close you are to computer.
Well, that is very good news because weekends during the Dragon Boat Festival, there's a lot of people that want to get in touch.
Mm,
And it's kind of held in limbo till Monday morning
yeah,
and it's all over by then.
right. So this
This is
should
great.
help.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's gonna be 100% perfect, but
Yes.
it'll help for sure.
Step in the right direction.
That's right. Street sweeping started this month. I know that for a fact because I got a ticket for it. So I won't be doing that again. Don't worry, it's fine, it's fine. But just be aware, street sweeping has started. They're very serious about it, obviously. You can sign up for notifications though with this link.
Before you go,
Huh?
isn't that one of the new, is that electric street sweeper or the natural gas one, the zero?
I'm not sure which version of street sweeper that is actually.
Cause that does not look like the old ones go by my house.
No, I don't know. I don't think it was captioned.
That's
Yeah, I
not
got that
what it looks
image,
like,
but-
cause I know they were looking to get some more that don't pollute as much.
Yeah. Maybe Alan would know, or you could go to the Dottie Advisory Board and they might be able to tell you.
Yeah, I think the electric one I've seen mostly downtown, Tom.
All right, this weekend is the 23rd annual Cesar Chavez Marcha and Celebration. So that's Saturday, April 13th at 9 a.m. There's going to be a Catholic Mass at Regis. 10 a.m. the Marcha will follow, and then 11:15 the park opening ceremony at Cesar Chavez Park will commence. And you can visit their Facebook page using that link for more information. There is a vacancy on the Denver Head Start program, and eventually the computer will catch up to me. But the Office of Denver City Council seeking candidates for a vacancy on the Denver Great Kids Head Start Policy Council. The Head Start is a national program that provides comprehensive early childhood education, health, nutrition, and parent involvement services to low-income children and families. And that application is due by April 14th, so just a few more days left to apply for that.
Hasn't the full day or half day pre-kindergarten helped keep a lot of kids out of the Head Start so they can,
Yeah,
well,
it starts part of it.
Head Start's part of it at Beach Court, I know.
Yeah, I believe it has certainly been helpful for those who are needing that resource, for sure. We have the 29th Avenue Bike Lane feedback. So Saturday, April 20th from 9 to 11 a.m. you can go in person to Slow High Bike Co. and Leroy's Bagels. That's at 4434 West 29th Avenue. And you can get feedback on the proposed changes to the West 29th Avenue bike lanes. You can talk to the project team directly about how to improve those bike lanes if you have any ideas on it. There is a lot. I think we're trying to keep the city occupied, maybe,
Oh, yeah.
because watch out, there's more. Councilman Sandoval and Mayor Johnson are doing a business roundtable. This is specifically for businesses on the 30th Avenue corridor. And that is happening Saturday, April 20th from 10 a.m. to noon at the bar at Plaza 38. So if you are a business or you own a commercial property on the 30th Avenue corridor, we encourage you to sign up to attend that roundtable. And I'll be there and Alex will be there as well. I'm just waiting for the computer. I'm sorry. There's a new screen on mine, but not on on Zoom. It's just delayed. So another 420 activity. You can celebrate Earth Day by picking up a Denver Diggs tree at their annual fruit and yard tree sale. So that's actually happening at Sloan's Lake Park at the southwest corner. You can enter on 17th Avenue in Sheridan. There will be trees for sale, $50 to $100, depending on the size and stock type of tree. And that's going to take a second to catch up. So I don't know, it's just slow today. The I-70 noise sound wall replacement has started, so that began in March, and there's an estimated end date of 2026. Right now, they're focusing on the phase between Lowell and Pecos. And if you visit CDOT's website, it'll actually show you which phases they have this project broken out into and when they're going to start doing it, when they'll change to the next phase. It's a pretty interactive map. You can zoom in, zoom out, and see along the 70 where they're gonna be doing that.
Is this, it
Does,
doesn't impede traffic in any way, correct?
Have you driven on the 70, like when you get by Harlan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's
Okay.
what it'll do, because that's part of that project
Okay.
too. Yeah,
is there a co-link from Dottie to this?
not Dottie, it's through CDOT.
Well, I know,
So,
but I mean, people might look to Dottie thinking, but it's federal tax.
I'm not
I've
sure
noticed
if
they're
it's on
well
Dottie's
underway
website.
because a lot of those old wooden ones are in piles now.
Mhm. Yeah, finally. Yeah, I'm not sure if Dottie has a link to CDOT for it. But I know we put it in our newsletter for CDOT and,
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
'cause last time I went along, I saw all kinds of neighborhoods that I hadn't been seeing for years,
Mhm.
especially in my low slung Prius. You don't see anything over the top of those.
Yeah. We have the West 30th Avenue corridor study. So this is specifically for the 30th Avenue corridor from Sheridan to Fox, and that's about 3 miles. And it's meant to improve the mobility and safety, as well as plan for the bus rapid transit and identify opportunities to green that corridor. That was funded due to Councilwoman Sandoval's 2023 budget amendment. That project has 3 phases, and that's assessing existing conditions, analyzing alternative designs for the corridor, and presenting a recommendation design alternative. The intended outcome is to create a cohesive plan for the entire corridor that guides future capital improvement projects and adjacent development. You can join the mailing list using that link to receive project updates. And then one of our upcoming events is Councilwoman Sandoval is presenting a free concert in the park. Denver Municipal Band will be playing. You can enjoy free music, you can bring a picnic, we'll have food trucks there as well. And that's going to be on Friday, June 28th at 6 p.m. at Rocky Mountain Park. So again, just another reminder about the residential rental property license. As of January 1st, 2024, landlords are required to obtain a license for their residential rental properties. And they must be renewed every 4 years. You can apply for a residential rental property license using that link in the bottom left. If you're a tenant and you're not sure about the status of the property you're living in, we've also provided a link for you to check that. You can also call 311 or fill out a tenant complaint form. If you have any questions or comments, you can email licenses@denvergov.org. The Mile High United Tax Help Colorado program will have IRS certified staff members to help you complete your taxes online on a first come, first served basis at the Rodolfo Corky Gonzalez Branch Library. And that's going to be on Thursdays from 5 to 7 p.m. So you've got one more shot at this tomorrow. And you can learn if that's the right option for you if you visit that link at the bottom. Not everybody qualifies, but no harm in checking, especially with taxes coming due the 15th.
Soon.
Soon. So if you haven't done it yet, you should do so. Also, I think under Tabor, everyone's getting back 800 minimum, I believe. So it's just an incentive. Yeah. City Council had their budget goal session workshop. They are already preparing for the 2025 budget. So in 2024, they presented 6 budget goals to Mayor Hancock and then later Mayor Johnston when he took office. If you click on that link, you can see the letter that had those 6 budget goals. The goals were developed by previous council and each year council members had refined them. This year, Council President Torres and Councilwoman Sandoval wanted to provide an opportunity to develop new goals. So City Council voted to support 8 goals for the 2025 budget. They are as follows. One is safety. So strengthen community safety by engaging directly with neighbors and ensuring investment in community-supported anti-racist public health strategies. 2 is community-focused government, so empowering the community and improving customer service by sharing information, engaging and collaborating with residences. 3 is housing and homelessness, ensuring that people of Denver are housed by improving the housing pipeline and ensuring the diversity and stability of housing. Meet the needs of those experiencing homelessness or who are vulnerable to homelessness, and implement proven and innovative methods to mitigate and reduce involuntary displacement. 4 is businesses and workforce, incubate citywide business, labor, infrastructure, and our network of supportive community organizations. Empower workers, sustain a thriving workforce, and support our small and local business sectors.
Alessandra, number 3, which is on the screen now,
Mhm.
is really important. Because last year in 2023, 311 individuals died on the streets of Denver, city and county of Denver, not the metro area. And that's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's a big number, bigger than, anyone would ever want to see.
But they do on the winter solstice at the city county building, they have a prayer vigil for these people and their names are read and everybody lifts a candle. We will remember you, but it gets to be a very long list. Those are somebody's mother, father, sister, brother, kid.
They're a person.
Yes, it's very sad that here in Denver, that happens.
Yeah, Councilwoman Sandoval goes every year to that visual.
I've seen her there.
Yeah, it is. Just a stark reminder, that just because we're fortunate enough to have housing, doesn't mean everybody is.
That reinforces what the mayor is trying to do, is get these people off the streets. Good
That's
for
right.
him.
Yeah. The 5th budget goal is climate. So treat climate action as an emergency, protect our natural environment through action and investment, and mitigate harm in areas of environmental injustice. Mobility and safe streets, create complete and safe multimodal transportation connections, and improve Denver's infrastructure. They're looking to reduce traffic deaths by 25% by the end of 2025. And 7 is going to be youth and families. So that's investing in Denver's children, youth, and families. Support, educate, and engage them to meet their multifaceted, multi-generational needs. Health and behavioral health is goal number 8, and that is to increase access to physical and mental health and addiction and substance use resources. Expand investments and collaboration between providers and partners to achieve a seamless continuum of services. So budget next steps are going to be on May 3rd, City Council is going to go to a budget retreat to develop and adopt policy and budget tactics to implement those goals. And then afterwards, a letter will be sent to Mayor Johnston that reflects City Council's finalized goals for the 2025 budget. Budget season will follow shortly after, and City Council will refer to these goals when city agencies present their budget requests for 2025. And we have some legislative initiatives. So at City Council Charter Review Committee, Councilwoman Sandoval and Council President Torres presented a proposal to amend city charter to remove the U.S. citizenship requirement for applicants to the Denver Police Department and Denver Fire Department. And then City Council recently passed unanimously legislature that will require starting July 1st that in meals served to children, like those combo meals, specifically for kids in Denver, that restaurants can only offer water, milk, or milk alternatives that do not have any additional sugar substitutes. It also prevents employees from offering beverages with added sugar to children when taking orders. So parents can still order whatever they want, but now when you go to the diner down the street, if your kid orders kids meal number 1, that does not come with soda. That's going to have to be asked for.
Happy Meal.
That's right. And then we have our advisory boards as follows. So there's Dottie, Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, and that's every second Tuesday of every month at 4 p.m. Sign up closes at 2 p.m. the day of the meeting. Just email Dottie_AB@denvergov.org with your name, email address, and subject for public comment. And that's all held through Zoom. We also have CAG, which was talked about a little bit earlier. That's every third Wednesday at 6 p.m. And that is virtual or on Microsoft Teams. Just email Technician Gradman or Technician Campbell with that information if you would like to attend. We also have PRAB, Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and that is every second Wednesday of each month at 5:30 p.m. That is on Zoom, and you can register for that meeting using that link. We've got some general contacts for Denver Police Department. First one being Commander Ledger with his email address and phone number there. And then Lieutenant Rebatorano, his email address and phone number are there as well. We have Technician Campbell and Technician Grodman for community resource officers. And then we have our HOT team, homeless outreach team. That's Officer O'Connell and Officer Juarez. Then we have general staff for Councilman Sandoval. So that's Gina, Melissa, and myself. And then once it gets to the next slide, you'll see contacts for Northwest Denver. So Park Ranger, how to report information, 311, the non-emergency number, how to watch city council and committees, and how to file online at 311. And then you can also, one day it'll catch up, I promise, connect with us at district1@denvergov.org. And that email address always goes to either myself or Gina in the office. You can call us at 720-337-7701. Visit us at denvergov.org/district1, and you can sign up for office hours using that link as well. We also have a subscription to our newsletter. Our website is there, our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Does anybody have any questions?
Did a wonderful job of
Yeah.
covering the full spectrum. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you have a question, Gil?
About that license
Yes.
for rental?
Huh?
What are you saying about that?
So if you have a property that you rent out for more than 30 days at a time, starting January 1st of this year, you need a rental, residential rental license.
I have one already,
Because
but I was just wondering if it's a home by itself, how do you get the landlord to get them to be able to get a license?
The landlord would have to apply for the license.
But the landlord is,
landlord doesn't want to, right?
Oh, well, then you report them and they get fined.
Can you report anonymously? Or do you have to,
At the very least, you could call 311 and report anonymously. There's also that form on here that you can file and report.
I think
Leave your
that
name
I
blank.
put
Yeah.
something about that in the
see,
newsletter.
the thing about it is, they have, the owner is living there, but he doesn't live there. He's been gone for 20 years. He rents out the property, so how do you go about that?
So you can use that link to report it. You can call 311, you can text 311, you could go online to 311. You could email that email address, that licenses at denvergov.org. And those are all ways to report that issue.
Well, because I have a license, costs $129. for 3 years.
We're gonna have to cut this off so that we have the,
It's absentee property, there's a lot of problems.
Yeah, you can file reports using all those resources. Just call 311, I think would be the easiest. But yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
I
Thank
don't
you.
know why this isn't. There we go.
Okay. Alan?
Would you like me to dive in, Deb?
Yes, please.
Great. Well, as many of you all know, Sloan's Lake Citizens Group has a proud tradition of hosting candidates for office. My first ever visit to Sloan's Lake Citizens Group was for, I think it was a school board. candidate. So we are very lucky that we have 3 candidates for Denver's district attorney, a citywide election coming up. The primary is in June. We have the 3 Democratic candidates for that primary here this evening. We're very lucky to have them with us, and we appreciate their time. I will say that likely the winner of this June primary will in all likelihood be our next district attorney for the city and county of Denver. So this is a very exciting night that we're having them here with us today. So our format is as follows. We're going to do 3-minute introductions of each candidate. I'll have a timer and I'll hold up a 15-minute and a 0-second warning. You might hear the timer go off here as well. We're going to do 2 questions that we've given to the candidates already, and we'll take the 3rd and 4th questions from the audience. Tom and Deb, if you all have any questions from the group there that you'd like to gather, I'll let you guys ask the 3rd question. And for anyone online, you're welcome to submit questions in chat, and I'll try to consolidate those. And if we see some patterns of similar questions, we'll ask that as the 4th question. There'll be 90 seconds to respond to the questions for each candidate. We've taken a random drawing of names out of a virtual hat, so to speak. Mr. Walsh will be going first, then Ms. Owen, and then Ms. Joseph. So Mr. Walsh, if you don't mind introducing yourself to the group this evening, thank you for joining us. And don't forget to unmute, sir.
There we go. Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you all for having us this evening. I'm John Walsh, Democrat running for district attorney. Denver's my hometown, moved here to the metro area when I was 12, have lived for the last 30 years or nearly 30 years in the Park Hill neighborhood with my wife, and all 3 of my kids are born and raised here, products of the DPS school system graduates. This is a city I love deeply, and I care very much about. I've spent a personal and professional lifetime here. I was Colorado's United States attorney, the top federal prosecutor for the state of Colorado during the Obama administration, and nominated by President Obama and confirmed by the Senate, and have spent really about half of my career as a prosecutor and half of my career working in private law firms, and also working very extensively in the community. And that includes, working on early childhood education programs, working with the Democratic Party, working with neighborhood groups, and also working very extensively in the Spanish-speaking community, because I'm a fluent Spanish speaker from the time my parents sent me off in middle school to be an exchange student. We're at a critical moment in Denver. We have been facing over the last few years some serious community safety issues, and we need to approach them directly and confront them and really put this city back on the trajectory, the spectacular trajectory it's been on for the last 25 years or so. And at the same time, as we do that, we need to be very careful to be working relentlessly as we protect the community and the DA specifically, to make sure we're working to improve the quality of our criminal justice system. I think we all recognize that we don't have a perfect criminal justice system, and that there are inequities in the system that have to be addressed at the same time that we're working hard to make sure that everyone in the city is safe. What does that mean as a practical matter? And I want to be respectful of the time limit here. We have a violent crime issue that we have to approach by aggressively prosecuting the people who are actually committing the crimes, but at the same time, work to ensure that young people have other opportunities, development programs, intervention programs, so that they don't get caught up in violent subcultures. On fentanyl and the drug epidemic that we're facing, we need to be sure that we're prosecuting the drug dealers who are bringing these drugs in. But we need to face the fact that and the mental health issues we're facing, often the criminal justice systems, are public health issues. And the DA needs to be a strong voice to ensure that we have adequate treatment options available. And on something as simple and yet as important as car theft, oh, I can't quite see that. How much time
15 seconds, sorry.
All right, 15 seconds. We need to really focus and make sure that people don't have to worry about getting their cars stolen. So I'm very honored to be in this race. I so appreciate you taking the time tonight to hear from us, and I would love to have your support.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Waltz. Ms. Owen, welcome. Please introduce yourself. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Lacey Owen. I'm a civil rights lawyer, and I want to tell you a little bit about my unusual path to running for Denver District Attorney. So when I went to law school, I believed I was going to be like an international human rights lawyer. So I dove into all the international human rights things that I could in my first year. And the first summer after law school, I did a women's rights internship at a reproductive justice organization in Manila, Philippines, through an organization that was then called Law Students for Reproductive Justice. So through that experience, I got a real exposure to what international human rights law looked like. When I came home, I was a student attorney in the civil rights clinic at the University of Denver, where I went to law school. And the clients that we represented were people in prison at the federal supermax prison in Florence, Colorado. And immediately, when I walked into that prison and the first time that I interviewed my clients about what was going on, what their lives looked like, I realized that we had a human rights crisis right here in my home state. I also grew up in Park Hill. My mom grew up in Park Hill. My family's been there for 50 years. So I felt an immense sense of responsibility to use the privilege that I was obtaining by becoming a lawyer to do something about this human rights crisis. So that is what I poured my heart and soul, my blood, sweat, and tears into for many, many years. I started and ran a nonprofit. I did all the jobs. I could do any job in the legal profession that you asked me to do. Trust and believe that. I also had a private law firm that I managed and ran to do that type of work and to pay the bills because these people could not pay me. I sued insurance companies and I still do a little bit of that consulting work today. I'm very proud of the multiple cases I've had heard in the Colorado Supreme Court, and I'm also admitted to practice all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. So what does that mean for me running for DA? In 2020, I watched people pour into the streets angry and frustrated and sad about the exact same things that I had been fighting for the decade plus preceding that. But I was worried that we didn't have a plan for how we were actually going to fix these problems because we keep doing the same things over and over and over again and getting the same or even worse outcomes and then banging our heads against the wall wondering why. So I decided that I was going to run for DA on a walk with my good friend, Sarah Parody, who's now elected to Denver City Council. And in order to prepare for that, I moved to Norway so that I could craft a prosecutorial policy that is designed to function well. And I will gladly tell you about the 4 parts of that policy when I answer the other questions. I didn't track my time well this time. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Owen. Ms. Joseph, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, and thank all of you so much for being here. I got my start as a scholarship kid in college, needing to make a little extra cash, and I started tutoring a group of kids who were really struggling in a local public school. And when I dug into their situation a little bit deeper, I learned that every single one of them had been either physically or sexually abused. And I dedicated my life freshman year in college to protecting our most vulnerable. I began working in the district attorney's office in Boston, where I was living at the time, and ultimately became chief of their special victims unit in 2004 at the height of the clergy abuse crisis. Took on the church and made some real changes and started one of the country's first human trafficking units. We moved here, and I'm so fortunate to raise our kids here and live in Denver. And I continued the work in Arapahoe County, running special victims units, starting a human trafficking unit, starting a domestic violence unit, and really loving and managing all of the teams in the DA's office engaged in this critical work. And now I work for Governor Polis in a brand new office, 1,800 employees and a $300 million budget, really dedicated to transforming how our courts handle mental illness in the criminal justice system and in the civil system, getting people out of the streets and into treatment and out of our jails and into treatment. And I'm watching Denver, a city that I love, change so dramatically. And I heard you all talking earlier about the winter solstice event to remember our homeless neighbors who died And this isn't the same city that I raised my kids in. I was there that night. It was very, very powerful evening. And so I'm dedicating myself to this race. I'm a first-time candidate. I've never run before. And I'm really focused on 3 different buckets. One, accountability. And I mean taking crimes seriously. And that means gun violence, fentanyl distribution, and auto theft. But I'm also committed to looking for real pathways to treatment. So we stop this revolving door of recidivism for people that need help, and making sure we have alliances along the safety spectrum to get people into treatment. That is the role of the DA, uplifting our community and human dignity. And last, we have a crisis in that people don't believe in the criminal justice system anymore. And I want to address that by having my prosecutors be responsive to neighborhoods in a community prosecution model where we sit together to talk about justice, where we bring together neighborhood organizations and nonprofit organizations and gun violence prevention organizations, all seated at the table of justice. This is part of my plan, and I look forward to chatting with you all some more.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Joseph. Our next question will be, like much of Denver, the Sloan's Lake neighborhood and surrounding neighborhoods have had issues with gun violence. What would you do as Denver DA to reduce gun violence? And we'll switch the order a little bit. We'll go Ms. Joseph, Mr. Walsh, and then Ms. Owen for this question. Ms. Joseph, 90 seconds. Please go ahead.
Thanks. And this is a tragic topic with serious consequences that we're all facing every day. And gun violence prevention is one of my big focuses. I think I'd take a 3-prong approach. First of all, focusing on the drivers of gun violence, working with local law enforcement, creating a task force that's really hyper-focused on crimes with being committed with guns, and having dedicated prosecutors that are handling those most serious crimes. So we're moving them through the system quickly and able to hold people accountable for the gun violence, and coordinating all of this with ballistic databases and our local law enforcement as well. We really need to start cracking down on the illegal manufacturers of guns, including ghost guns, using creative opportunities like undercover investigations and wiretap warrants to really focus on holding people accountable. But the hardest and the most important part is the prevention piece. And that's where my community prosecution model is really going to make us sure that we're connected to the schools. And we can talk about, when we talk about gun violence, we've got to talk about youth violence and gang violence. And how do we create real meaningful change for our youth to get them away from using these guns? Maybe we do gun buyback programs, making sure that in my office, in my community engagement department, I have advocates from the gun violence prevention programs and gang violence prevention programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Joseph. Mr. Walsh.
So I'm very aware, and I know Sloan's Lake has had some terrible incidents over the years. The Yeshiva Torah Chaim shooting in 2021, for example, some of the things that happened on federal. This is something that neighborhoods all across the city have dealt with. This is something I've worked on for decades. I responded to the scene as U.S. Attorney of the Aurora Theater shooting. I was at the scene of the Planned Parenthood shooting in 2015 down in Colorado Springs. This is something I've spent a lot of time working on, both in terms of reforms. I testified in favor of, in the Senate Judiciary Committee, in favor of President Obama's gun crime control bill, and I would continue to advocate in the legislature here in Colorado for further reforms and protections on the gun side of things, gun safety. In terms of addressing it, I touched on this earlier. We need to really focus in on the small number of people who are actually pulling the triggers. This is something I did while I was U.S. Attorney, because we established a strong partnership with the Denver DA's office to identify through technology. We set up something called the Gun Crime Intelligence Center to identify the people, the guns that were causing the harm, and identify the people behind them and get them off the street. So we need to really double down or triple down on that strategy. And I would establish a violent crime task force for that purpose. In addition to that, and I touched on this earlier, something I believe in deeply is that all too often young people get caught up in this because there's no alternatives. And what we need to do is work with groups all across the community for youth development programs. When kids get out of school at the end of the day, we need to be sure that they have an alternative just hanging out on the street corner and getting caught up in a potentially violent subculture. Thanks very much. I'm happy to talk further about it if there are further questions.
Thanks, Mr. Walsh. Ms. Owen.
Thank you. So I have a little bit different approach than my colleagues. I said in my introduction, what I've done is create a set of procedural reforms for the Office of the Denver District Attorney. So not to be boring and nerdy about it, but one of the things that I would do is create an equitable prosecution model. And I want to talk about gun violence through the lens of that model, because what I'm trying to do is create a system that's responsive to any problem, irrespective of what it is. Because I'm very, very tired, as I know you all, of hearing the same thing over and over. Community prosecution model was something that was started in 1985. It was implemented in the early 1990s. Bill Ritter created community prosecution in the Denver District Attorney's Office in 1996. This doesn't work. The feds prosecute 20% of the crimes that the feds prosecute. The federal prosecutor's office, the United States Attorney's Office, is gun violence. It's not solving the problem, because here you all are sitting asking us about it. So we need to prosecute cases equitably. This is how we prevent the circumstances that lead to crime to begin with. We need to provide real data transparency from the lens of the prosecutor so that we understand causes of crime, so that we can talk to the people who are actually experts in preventing crime, the legislators and the policymakers, about what they need to do. And then we need to be clear and truthful about the limitations of the office. If we're here, we failed to prevent. Prosecutors don't prevent crime. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Owen. Our next question that we shared with the candidates is, what would you do to improve equity in our criminal justice system? And we'll again switch up the order on this. We'll go Ms. Owen, Ms. Joseph, and Mr. Walsh, 90 seconds each. Ms. Owen, please take this one away.
Thank you. So my entire platform is designed around equity. So it has 4 key components. The first is an equitable prosecution policy. This is about how we prosecute defendants. It goes from everything from investigation through post-conviction to data transparency. The second is developing an inclusive victim services model. So this is to stop using victims as pawns for prosecutorial conviction goals and getting them real healing, and making sure that we're taking a case management approach that centers the victim, not the system. The third is creation of an institutional accountability prosecution unit. This is a unit that will prosecute crimes that are committed by people involved in systems, law enforcement, corporations, the child welfare system. And the last piece is to create a workers' rights framework for the office itself. We owe it to the employees of the office to treat them well, to prevent burnout. I've been a lawyer for a long time, as my colleagues have. This is a tough career. There's a lot of secondary trauma in the district attorney's office in particular. And we also owe it to the people who the DA's office represents, to treat employees well, because that's how we get justice done. So my entire platform is designed to create equity for everyone and have one justice system that treats everyone the same, no matter who they are, who they know, or how much money they have.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Owen. Ms. Joseph.
Thank you. And this question is a painful one for people who've been involved, like myself, in the criminal justice system for so long, because it's an area where we have failed to create real equity, and it's caused a lot of mistrust amongst communities. My plan is to really, I have a multi-step plan. One is to do real data transparency, not just on conviction reviews, but make sure we're looking at sentencing outcomes and plea deals and making that data very public facing so that we are understanding all of the racial equity ideas. I plan to have a citizens review board that oversees the DA's office. Just like there's one that's overseeing police decisions. I plan to have a director of police accountability in my office. It would be the first in the country to really help me understand from a community perspective when we have to look at shootings, and help the community understand so we're all coming together. Really, a lot of this lies in my massive plan to have real community engagement and making sure we're constantly liaising with community, and that the people that we're hiring are reflective of the people that we are serving. And this is a big piece of equity. And the other piece is really focusing on the mental health work, which I mentioned I'm working on now for the governor, but really looking at how we offer mental health and addiction support services instead of jail. And that, I think, is an equity issue as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Joseph. Mr. Walsh.
Thank you. So this is an issue that over the course of my career has really hit me directly. I began as a prosecutor in the late 80s and the early 90s during what was really the full-on drug war. 20 years later, 25 years later, while I was U.S. Attorney, President Obama asked us to do a systematic review of nonviolent drug case sentences for his clemency project. And I worked directly with the Department of Justice on a national level to do that. And at the end of that time, what was so striking to all of us, I think, is the sentences that were being handed out and resulting in really an enormous increase in incarceration for nonviolent crimes, and sometimes small level drug crimes, were just staggeringly too long. And as a result, President Obama reduced something like 2,000 sentences before he left office. I also worked with the president on sentencing reform and reforming mandatory minimums, and also reforming the use of sentencing enhancements to create leverage in prosecution. What do we need to do? We need to look at the way we sentence people. We need to look at the way we charge people. We need to work on implicit bias, which is something I did as U.S. Attorney, and that we should be doing in the DA's office as well. And I will say a very important point is we need to make the DA's office look far more like the community that we're living in than it does today. I'm a Spanish speaker. We need to have many more Spanish speakers in that office because of the amount of interaction that that community has. But it's not just Spanish, it's others. So there's so much to be done on this subject. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Walsh. Tom, Deb, what question do you have from the community room there at Merritt Co-working Space?
I have a question. Colorado has a very big problem with auto theft. What would you do as a prosecutor to reduce that?
Thank you so much for that question. This one will mix up the order again a little bit. We'll go Miss Owen. I'm sorry, we'll go back to the original order. We'll go Mr. Walsh, Miss Owen, and Miss Joseph. Mr. Walsh, 90 seconds, please.
Thanks. This is a critical issue, and I would set up a auto theft task force to match what the city is doing. I think it's very easy sometimes to think of this as being a sort of a joyriding situation, or a situation where people don't have anywhere to live and so they're stealing a car to live in. Some of that stuff goes on, but there's a significant organized crime aspect of this, and I'll give you one example. You all heard last year all the stories about don't park your car at DIA. The Adams County DA was able to arrest a ring of about 12 people at the end of October last year, and the number of cars stolen out of those lots in November and December went down 70%. We need to systematically investigate and prosecute those rings. Some of them are organized crime, even from Mexico, as a practical matter. And that's something I know how to do because of my experience on the federal side investigating cases. We need to create a focus, and we're going to be able to knock those numbers down. It's so important.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Walsh. Ms. Owen.
Thank you. So I want to return to what I said earlier. What I've done is create a system of prosecution that is designed to fairly, effectively, and appropriately respond to all types of crimes. Of course, that includes auto theft as well. I also want to say something that I said with respect to gun violence, which is that we need to be really clear on the limitations of the prosecutor's office in preventing crime. Once again, if we're here, if the DA's office is holding a case in its hand, we've already failed, right? And there's almost zero research that suggests that prosecution of crime has a deterrent effect, which would be the only prevention measure that the DA's office has. So I want to come back to the idea that we need to institute a series of reforms within the prosecutor's office to appropriately respond to crime, while also shifting focus onto the things that that actually are the agencies and the experts in preventing crime. We need to have anti-poverty policies in this city, this state, this country. The DA's office can offer information to those policymakers about the causes of crime by doing a better job of evaluating that and then using that data transparency, which has been part of my policy since the outset, in order to help those policymakers do the prevention work. And the last thing I just want to say, every time I hear this question, I think of something that my friend who's a defense lawyer said to me once. She said, I'm really tired of the debate being boiled down to whether we like the crime or we don't like the crime. All of us want the crime to stop, okay? It is how we do it. So that's, I'd ask you to take a look at my comprehensive policy. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Joseph.
Thank you. And, you know, unfortunately, Colorado has now become known as one of the capitals of auto theft. And everywhere I go, being on this campaign trail now for over 6 months, people have stories about how their cars are stolen and the real effects that it has. They can't go to work that day. They can't get to a doctor's appointment. This is something that is affecting people's lives. And I just met this week with a woman who actually was able to chase down the guy who stole her car. And she felt completely unsupported by all of the systems in that situation. And, you know, I thought that was a pretty dangerous situation for her to go ahead and do that, you know, but with her phone locating someone who was stealing her car. I think that we need to start prosecuting auto theft. The criminal justice system provides the ability to charge people who steal cars, who break into cars, and we need to start enforcing those laws and making sure that people are being held accountable. Yes, of course, there's an organized crime element to it, but there is also a street crime element to it. People are using these cars, stealing them, and using them as mobile offices for fentanyl distribution. That's why people sometimes, when their car gets returned to them, it'll have all kinds of drug paraphernalia in it, etc. And we need to be taking these cases seriously. And that is part of the plan I have to really start making sure that we enforce public safety.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Joseph. I don't see any questions from the online group here. I'll go with one more question that I had prepared for you all.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We've got a
I
question.
have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Take it from the room. If we got one in the room, that's great.
Sure. Steve Fisher. I'm in West Highland. This is about within the limits of the authority of the office of the DA. How would you mitigate the when cases come to the DA and dead end there? Let's say the police are enforcing all laws equitably and consistently. How would you mitigate the effect on morale in the police force with a pattern, let's say, of dismissal or not following through with cases that are brought to the DA's office?
Thank you so much for your question, sir. We'll go and Ms. Joseph, Mr. Walsh, and finishing with Ms. Owen.
Yeah, that question is a really important one. It's very nuanced right now, and it speaks to the relationship that I think a lot of the police are feeling out of the loop, so to speak. My community prosecution model, which really looks at how we divide prosecutors up, is really going to focus on having that groups of prosecutors assigned to each of the 6 different police districts. So everything is relational, as you know, and having that constant communication chain between assigned prosecutors and the police in a particular district, so that they're talking about cases all of the time and that people understand what are the kinds of investigations that need to happen in order to be able to charge a case successfully? What are the decisions being made? When are police feeling frustrated by a larger problem and they don't know how to address that problem, and maybe an arrest at a certain time isn't the right solution? And so how do you work with trained prosecutors to create stronger cases? And I've been working in district attorneys' offices side by side with police for 25 years. Calls in 2 in the morning to approve warrants, to talk through a case. That's what's needed here, to really be able to have that kind of relationship where you're able to talk about cases and what is needed so that people understand the decisions that are being made. The public needs to understand, but certainly our partners in law enforcement do as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Joseph. Mr. Walsh.
So earlier this evening, I was talking to Denver Police Department Lieutenant about this very issue and about how to address the relationship issues between the DA's office and the police department. And he said, you know, it all boils down to communication. It all boils down to have a system in place where the command staff and the higher levels of the DA's office are in constant communication about priority. And the line folks are working together every day in a way that is responsible. And if problems arise, like cases being turned down that shouldn't be turned down, that's something that has to be addressed in a real time kind of way. I have spent decades working with law enforcement as a prosecutor. One of the things I pride myself on is having a strong working relationship, even when there are disagreements, because there always will be, between the prosecution office and the law enforcement side. We need to really strengthen that. At this moment in time, it is crucial that the DA's office and the police department work together to address the significant challenges we've got. And that would be one of my top priorities as a management level question coming into the office. So great question, something I hear from people all over the city, hear from people within the police department, even concerns within the DA's office. There's a lot of work to be done and we can do it.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Walsh. Miss Owen.
Thank you. I really appreciate this question. When I was in Norway, I lived there for a year so that I could research their prosecution system. As I mentioned, they have a really interesting integrated police and prosecution model. So actually, most of the police officers are trained lawyers, and that solves a lot of the problem that you're talking about. Our government is structured differently, as your question obviously suggests, and as we all know. So we have a police department that's managed by the city, and we have a DA's office that is technically a statewide office. So to me, this boils down to trust between the two offices. And unfortunately, because the resources aren't consolidated in the same way as is the case in Norway, and there's not that partnership built into the model, we have to make sure that the DA's office is using resources efficiently. I mean, we already have this massive case backlog. So when you ask questions like, why are cases getting dismissed? Why are we not prosecuting cases? It's often a resource issue. So the answer cannot be add more burdens, add more layers, right? The answer needs to be the DA's office needs to be efficiently, effectively, and in a trustworthy manner prosecuting cases. That is why I have created the plan for prosecution that I have created. And then it is incumbent upon the leadership of both the DA's office and the police department to communicate and lead well their offices. So that's my answer in short. Sorry, I'm really struggling with the 90 seconds tonight. I appreciate y'all's patience with me.
I just want to thank all three candidates for dealing with our short timeline. This is such a massive topic, and clearly 30 minutes this evening did not do it full justice, but you all have done great this evening with dealing with our timeline. We do have more things on the agenda, so I would encourage all the candidates, if you don't mind adding your website link to our Zoom chat. I'm sure folks would love to learn more about each of your platforms, or if you have any other upcoming events in the community. Thank you so much again for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all.
One last comment is the question about car thefts. Within the boundaries of Sloan's Lake Citizens Group, in March, there were 22 cars stolen. And the previous month, there were more than that. So it's really a problem.
Yeah.
I'd like to find out from people how many are returned or are returned usable, because I know that if somebody smokes meth in the car, it's pretty much trash. I got mine.
Well, thank you all again so much. We look forward to the three of you helping solve some of the problems that we're having in the neighborhood, including car theft. And thank you again. And Deb, we'll turn it back over to you. Thank you to all the candidates.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next order of business on the agenda is presentation by Alicia Hammett with Shopworks Architects discussing the rezoning of the Tennyson Center at 29th and Tennyson. And I don't see her.
Is somebody else from there, maybe?
Yeah, is there somebody else from Shopworks? Well, in that case, I will do a summary. They are looking to rezone the Tennyson Center, which is a treatment center for children with emotional issues. And I'm not sure, it used to be residential, but I'm not sure if there's many residents left there.
They still have some.
Okay, the properties are currently zoned under former chapter 59 of the Denver zoning ordinance for R5, which is like residential 5. R1 is single family in the old code, R2 duplex, and it's R5 for the main campus and B2 for the associated parking lot on the west side of Tennyson, north of 29. They are looking to rezone both properties to the current Denver zoning code to under education, campus education / institution 2 that allows zoning up to, I mean, maximum height up to 150 feet, but they will put a limit on the height of 75 feet, which is what the height of the existing buildings are. So it won't be that they can get the zoning, tear down something and put up something huge. This will allow the Tennyson Center for Children to be able to run their existing programs in a zone district with their existing uses by right, instead of having to seek a zone permit renewals every 2 years, which can impact their ability to stay in compliance with state licensure requirements for the care of children with psychiatric, intellectual, and/or developmental disabilities. So I was hoping that the person from Shopworks would be here, but that is what she'd be talking about. And I think going from a non-existing, a historical zone district to something that's current with the new Denver zoning book is a good start.
Is there anyone who has questions or concerns? People who live near, you live near there?
I do.
Yeah, do you see any problem with with this rezoning?
What I've noticed is they would have an opportunity to pick a most appropriate, in other words, the old zoning code gets mapped to the new zoning code. What would that be? Surrounded by what's called urban USU, and that is what it historically has been in R5. It's in an R, a residential area. Okay, there is an existing permitted use of residential care in USU currently. They could stay in that, map to that, or what they're seeking is mapping to this institutional campus designation, which is the same thing that Little Sisters of the Poor has. By, if someone wants to compare. And I'm not familiar with all the details, but the main feature, besides all of the architectural things, would be, and they mentioned it in your summary, Tom, was they wouldn't be subject to any scrutiny every 2 years about anything, really. So that's, from a neighborhood standpoint, that's less input and less of a voice. on what the zoning code terms as external impacts. So that's,
I had not thought of the neighborhood input because I've talked to the DeFays and they've on many occasions talked about issues with kids running away.
correct.
Mhm. Yeah. So,
There's lots to learn. If you're interested, just look up any of the news articles in the past few years, Colorado Sun, a lot of stuff going on over there.
yeah,
Okay.
thank you for your.
Any questions in chat?
My phone died.
Oh, yay.
So I hope, I don't know if there's any,
If there's something that turns up later, we'll address it in our website. The next piece here is somehow it got out of order. Okay, sounds like Earth Day celebration is April 21st, which is a Sunday. It should have been Monday if it wanted to be Earth Day, but getting volunteers to help clean up on weekdays. But they're doing a park cleanup from 11 to 12:30. They will provide pickers, bags, gloves. And they don't say where they're gonna be meeting, but the last few they've done have been by the boathouse as a central location. And then afterwards, they are going to be doing some walking tours along the path around the lake, and including the history of the lake's amusement park, gun club, boating, and even Roger the elephant. But what is interesting is they will also be having the author of a book, David Forsyth. He wrote a book, The Amusement Park at Sloan's Lake, and he'll be attending the educational walk and will be speaking about the amazing history of the amusement park there. Which one was it?
Manhattan Beach.
Manhattan Beach. And you can get a copy of the book at Edgewater Books in the Edgewater Public Market. And if you have them there, he will sign them for you.
It's refreshing that this is on the 21st and not the 20th, like everything.
Yes.
Yes.
Makes it possible to go to the.
Yes, yeah.
What were they? 6 things on the 20th. It's also my brother's birthday.
It's like Hyundai,
Yeah.
Okay, then on Saturday, there'll be park cleanup at Sloan's Lake Park on Saturday, May 11th. And it was a typo, it's from 10:30 to noon, and it's part of a citywide park cleanup effort. At the end of it, there will be a celebration at City Park from 12 to 3. And that'll be May 11th, and our next meeting is May 8th, so we can maybe give a little bit more update on that.
But I think they kind of want people to sign up. for
Yeah.
something. So if you.
So they know how to,
How they need to expect.
okay. And then they will be having the Sloan's Lake Bazaar
One back.
that is going to be over there where St. Anthony's. It'll be on the corner of, let's see. Got it here somewhere. It going to be at 1611 Raleigh Street, which is at the corner where Chapel Square is there, where they've had, like when they had the Lucha Libre Mexican wrestlers were there. It's going to be 2 days. What are the dates?
The 11th.
11th, 12th, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. There'll be let's see. About 80 vendor booths there. Feature 80 vendors, do-it-yourself craft workshops, live DJs, craft cocktails, street food, and more. You can buy the drink tickets at ahead of time and save $5. But they're gonna be having bottomless mimosas from 11 to 1 for $20 or $25 at the door. And you can buy a drink token package for 35, which would be $40. And I guess that's about all.
A lot of different shops and booths.
But it's right at the intersection there.
No, no.
Yeah, that's 16th and Raleigh.
16th, over there,
Okay.
16th, no, it's separate.
Okay.
Conejos is between Colfax and
Gotcha.
16th. And they will
I
be
know.
blocking off those streets, 16th and Raleigh will be.
Yeah, they'll be blocked off Raleigh up at 17th also, so. Okay, then,
For the trees.
yeah, okay. We have Denver Digs Trees, and that will be, guess what? Saturday, April 20th. And it's over on the southwest corner of the park near the gun club building. You can, let's see, it's from 8 AM to 2 PM. And Denver Digs Trees focuses on providing medium and large size shade trees for planting within the city of Denver. All Denver residents, businesses, nonprofits, and schools are eligible to apply. They will have fruit or yard trees for sale. And the trees are specifically to be put on your private property, because if you're planting on the tree lawn, you need a city permit for that. And somewhere in here, I think,
Are you talking about the health strip?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
did not know that.
Mm. That, and some, yeah,
oh, here it is, let's see.
Yeah, unless something goes.
You take care of
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, it's just kind of like the sidewalks out there on public property, but up until recently, that was your deal too.
It's weird because we're the ones who plant them. Everything else, I guess, just not trees.
Actually, they have, when I was working as an architect, we did a thing where we needed to provide some landscaping for a commercial property, and they wanted low maintenance. And I think they've done away with a lot of the requirements, but they used to not allow loose gravel and all this other stuff, which Xeriscape is now encouraging, I think.
Mhm. So I'm picturing this parking lot right here being cram full. I mean, surely this event is. I wonder how early you really have to arrive before noon.
I don't know, because they do say first come, first served.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be there pretty early.
Probably not permitted at the
It's-
fence.
They park, they'll park, well, now that they have the bike lane, I'm not sure you can park along 17th.
Yeah.
Right, so,
So they park in the next lot, which is the, park users.
good thing they're bare route, I guess, aren't they?
Well, I think their bags,
Some are-
burlap, and they're.
No. Okay.
But they have a program, they usually have a program where you can pull your car up, around, and load.
right?
to help you load. But it is tight.
Well, like
Yeah, well,
last
sure.
year at a block north of our house, these people got 5 trees that they put in the street area, but they'd gotten a permit ahead of time, but, and I'll see if they're doing well this spring. Okay, so we've done the Denver Dig
Yeah.
trees.
We have.
Yes, we have in our presence here t-shirts that have that graphic on it. It came from Sloan's Lake. It's fundraiser for Sloan's Lake Park Foundation. The t-shirts are $25 for adult sizes and $20 for youth sizes, and we have large and extra large adults.
This is an old movie that, too bad I can't, I
Yeah.
looked online just in case.
Oh, it came from beneath the sea, I think was the original.
But they,
Yeah, this is for real. This was. a
yeah, they
movie.
created that t-shirt at Alamo Drafthouse Theater. They had a weekend when they were doing like 50s horror movies. And all of the staff had those t-shirts, and my son worked there, and so I inherited his, and we copied the graphic because it wasn't registered trademark. And
I think this is a.
yeah,
gift.
there.
Oh, hang on, let's, just a minute, just a minute. Okay, try that again. Yeah, there we go.
In closer, in closer.
I think that's a cute.
Creepy. So, we have a few minutes left. Does anybody want to unmute themselves if you have any questions or comments?
Deb,
just
can I give one quick comment? I can't remember. I was a little bit preoccupied getting ready to facilitate. Did anyone talk about the bridge replacement of 23rd and Spear yet?
No.
So
I went to the open house earlier this week. I put in a link to the study. There are 3 options for replacing the West 23rd Avenue Bridge over I-25 and like 5 options for replacing the Spear Boulevard Bridge over I-25. But the link is here in chat if anyone wants to look at what the options are and give CDOT any kind of public comment on those. And I think that is due before, I want to say like the 15th or 20th of this month. And I saw someone ask about update on Denver sidewalks plan. There's nothing new, nothing formal has been submitted at council right now. It's still sitting in the committee. I can't get into the details, but I can say that Doug Bruce is not my best friend right now. Looking to try to make sure it's compliant with Tabor. So hopefully more details to come.
Thank you.
Alan, I did see you on, was it Channel 4 you were interviewed, or 7 the other night?
CBS. I can't remember which channel that is.
That's horrible.
But you were on your bike down there at the aforementioned dangerous intersection.
That's right. Yeah, I've almost
So
been
you could
hit
go
there
to
a
the
few
link
times.
and
So
see your talk.
I'm excited for any
Thank you for,
upgrade.
Alan, thank you for facilitating the wonderful DA candidate forum. We appreciate it very much. Well done.
Once he's done.
And then,
Hi, everybody. Alex here with the mayor's office. We're having a safety community meeting around the mayor's goals in partnership with Council Pro Tem Sandoval's office. I gave a physical flyer here to Tom. I'm going to be sending you all a digital flyer. It's going to be on May 7th. It's a Tuesday, and it's going to be 5:30 to 7 o'clock at Denver North High School in the cafeteria. And you're going to have about 5 agencies there: access and licensing, safety agencies there. I'm getting roundtable confused with. We have a lot of meetings. But I'm going to be sending that to you, Tom, so you can send to the members.
Okay.
So everyone's invited to come. That's
Because it goes
Spanish.
backwards.
oh, is it?
I think
No.
okay. It's double-sided, but I'll send the digital version so you guys can email it out.
Okay,
Okay? Thank you.
thank you.
I think that happens
And then
because
these
it's
are
like
the-
when you look in a mirror.
These are the goals. That's, yeah.
Anything
You'll
else?
send us that electronically
If you
too.
want that too, I can send.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Okay, our next meeting is Wednesday, May
We'll see you then.
8th. Yeah. Be there or be square.
I'd rather be.
You can be both.
From my hippie days.
Good night.
I was up in Boulder between